Spider-Verse. Okay?
Oh.
He's not.
I would actually appreciate at least 4 to 5 panels of Miguel O'Hara running around in a flannel shirt that was only buttoned at the top going orale.
All right. So we're starting hot. Hey,
Right.
Fucking Viva La Raza plays every time Miguel O'Hara shows up in a book.
I'm just saying when they made Into the Spider-Verse, because they can hide behind this idea of canon events and whatnot, right? And variants were variants. Right? It's like, oh, well, the 2099 you read when you were a kid, that's a variant of this Miguel O'Hara, who is 3 shades browner, black-haired, and also, more importantly, a villain.
In a blue suit.
In a blue suit. And then we did it again when we did Kane in that Spider-Women abortion that nobody watched. Right?
That didn't happen. We actually all agreed that
Well, remember,
happen.
that's also Kane by way of that spider-hunting supervillain that was hot for a minute that nobody liked. Orland, yeah. It's not only we're going to try and make Peter Parker not Peter Parker, but in our continuing efforts to defame and to diminish Peter Parker as a Spider-Man, we're going to replace his inheritors and inspirations with a range of multicolored multi-characters. And it's like, fuck you.
Okay, so this actually feeds into something that my wife and I watched this week. But so to me personally, on examination of that criticism, it would go to reason that the writers and editors at Marvel and the unwashed masses that, are responsible for the comic schlock we're getting past 2010, they wanted to dismantle the icon of Marvel Comics, who had been the icon of Marvel Comics for over 50 years, by replacing him with a brown person.
Right.
Instead of creating let me finish. Instead of creating a new character and pushing it as their franchise, or knowing that it wouldn't work because Red and Blue Spidey is always going to be the icon of Marvel Comics and the best-selling property they have. He's the Austin 316 of Marvel Comics. They're vehemently interested in creating a narrative that Spider-Man as a white male is an anomaly in the Spider-Verse.
I mean, except he isn't.
But he is. All the prominent Spider-Verse alters that they have created, Miles Morales, bringing back Miguel O'Hara, which also takes me into another point that I need to make. Miguel O'Hara is not from an alternate dimension. He's not a multiversal character. Miguel O'Hara is just from the fucking future of the 616.
Right, he's a lineal descendant. And this is 2 problems. Okay? So the first is, and this pulls in what Larry was saying, it actually brings you you're not in dissent with each other. You're not arguing. Okay? At the same time, there are people trying to marginalize Peter Parker in order to try and soothe it, in order to try to massage it. They're like, well, no, what it is that it's an expanded universe, so it's all about who is your Spider-Man, which is the same thing we saw with the abortive attempt of Games Workshop to introduce, quote, Age of Sigmar as a better Warhammer fantasy. Right, where it's all broken up into realms of magic, and it's multiple versions of the same, but your version is the best real version, honest. And everyone said bullshit.
Well, hold up.
The second point, because there are 2 points, is the people who are managing the idea of a multiverse are still failing to understand that there's a cognitive structural difference in storytelling between temporal and interdimensional. Right? The multiverse is an interdimensional pretext. There's one reality, but multiple variations of it. Right?
Well,
temporal
multiple dimensions and multiple universes. So here's the thing. Multiple dimensions are completely opposite the idea of multiple universes. So each dimension can have its own multiverse. That's
no.
That's not
how the metaphysics work.
That's not how That has never
That's
been
how it works at Marvel.
No, that's how it works in Marvel now, and it's wrong. That's not how it worked originally.
It's actually not how it works in Marvel now either.
Oh God, they can't even maintain their own shit correctly.
There are certain dimensions in the Marvel universe that connect to multiple multiverses.
Yeah,
and there are certain
fuck
other
that noise.
dimensions in the Marvel universe that
so
are
it's
in multiple
not as cut and dry as
multiverses.
what I said, but you understand what I meant, Larry.
But hold up, both
So
of you,
it's
both
like
of you,
Yeah,
both-
Mojoverse.
Larry's been trying
Mojoverse
to-
is an alternate
Larry's been trying to get
dimension
this out
that
a while.
exists in every
Hold-
multiverse.
hold
But
up,
go ahead.
hold up. We're pretending that this isn't dumb. You guys are both pretending this isn't dumb. So the Spider-Verse exists because they don't want to tell stories involving Peter Parker because they don't know how. So they're saying, what if we make a gay female Spider-Man in a wheelchair who uses quarter canes for her web shooters, and we throw her out whenever there's Pride Month so that we could sell some more Pride Month things. It's all in the pro wrestling terminology, what we call hot shotting. You know what hot shotting was in the old
Larry,
days of
bump your
pro
mic
wrestling?
up a little bit. You're kind of quiet.
I do not.
Give me
This
a
is a new
second.
term. I'm learning new wrestling terms
Give me a
every time I
second
come
here.
to this show.
Let me look at my audio. Which setting is the mic under? Where's my volume control on my mic?
Isn't it under the? We're professionals here, folks.
I can turn it up on the StreamYard side, but actually, no, I can't.
Weird.
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
So
I'm gonna bump you up to 120%.
So there was a guy in the old days called the Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, the Sheik. And what the Sheik would do is he would get a fork out and he'd stab somebody repeatedly in the head with a fork until the guy bled. He would bite people. You know, he would just be a fucking animal. And what you'd do is you'd bring the Sheik out because it's a freak show. And you bump your numbers up. You bump your numbers way up with the freak show. But what happens when you're hot shotting a territory is your numbers go down long term. It takes a while for those numbers to recover.
They noticed that with New Jack in ECW.
I mean, New Jack was really the best. His best version of himself was when he was in Smoky Mountain. But the point with comics is that all they know how to do right now is to hot shot. It's like, okay, we're gonna give MJ a boyfriend, right? It's not Peter. So the audience is gonna be mad. So they're gonna hate read it. And then we're gonna try to do a little reversal on them where we tell the story about how he's mad at MJ because they're not having sex because he accidentally almost killed her. And that way we're gonna get a whole bunch of people to hate purchase the book. So all of these multiverses, all of this nonsense is because they don't know how to sell books. They don't know how to sell stories. They don't know how to say, hey, you know what's been a compelling character for generations? Peter Parker's Spider-Man. What if we just keep doing what works? Because every time we try to make an innovation, we sell less. Not a lot less, but we sell less.
That's not necessarily true in all cases, but whenever they make bad innovation, then yes.
No. All the innovations they make are bad.
Not historically.
All right. So here's the thing. Let's
Church,
use this.
every innovation since the early '90s they've made, well, mid '90s realistically, to Spider-Man is bad.
Here's the thing.
That's less than half of the lifespan of Marvel Comics.
Look,
I mean, yes, the first set of innovations they made after the 90s were made for the collect. We've had this discussion 100,000 times.
guys.
Yeah.
But when they switched over to making changes specifically for specific markets instead of comic book readers as a whole for the betterment of the industry, then yes, everything went in the toilet. But you can't discount everything they did for 50 years before that.
Guys, here's the thing. Let's take a small example and trace how Marvel mishandled it. Okay, and I think we can come to some kind of agreed upon set of conditions. So in the 2001 Sam Raimi Spider-Man film,
Mhm.
okay, they decided rather than technical web shooters, which we would have been fine with either way, they were going to give him bio web shooters. Nobody knew they were going to do this. It never came up. It was never proposed in comics. He just did it,
Mhm.
right? At the time,
Well,
nobody
it was
except
proposed in comics. If you remember, we were just talking about Miguel O'Hara. He has organic webbing.
right, but I don't think that Sam Raimi specifically read Spider-Man 2099 and said, let's just give this to Peter Parker. I don't think
No,
that came up.
but it
Okay,
did exist, and I mean, there is a
sure,
basis for it in
but
comics. But continue.
but here's what I'm getting at. At the time, I don't think the vast majority of Spider-Man fans, unless you are the most dyed-in-the-wall hyper grognard, right, had a conniption fit that Peter Parker didn't have his mechanical web shooters. Because in fact, at that time, we didn't even know a Spider-Man movie could be done well to that level of fidelity that we all were
Uh,
like, no, I don't care. I'm on this ride. I love this
well,
shit.
I
case in
mean,
point, I remember
people were
being
mad
in
it
the
got retconned into the comics.
I remember specifically sitting in the theater going, "Huh, that was a choice," and then moving
Right,
on with my life.
right. You got on with your life. But and Larry, you've touched on what I'm getting at. So then they said at Marvel Comics, oh shit, we need to bring this movie into cohesion with our comics.
Wait, I don't know why, but yes, there was a time period in the animated series and in the comic stories during the Man-Bat mutation where organic webbing was inherently a Peter Parker thing.
Right, but even then, that
Or
was
not
part of
Man-Bat, Man-Spider.
a Man
Sorry.
Spider.
Mhm.
Right, but even then, that's a limited run event. They obviously Peter Parker got turned back into Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But having said that, okay, even if it has some justification in comics, we go, oh, cool, that's a lore nod.
But as a Sam Raimi guy,
Yeah.
because he's such a monster guy, that's probably where it came from.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing: I don't want to propose that Sam Raimi's not a mega nerd. He might be. He might have a massive Spider-Man collection. I believe it.
No,
But
if I'm Sam Raimi and they give me the assignment to write
right,
a Spider-Man story with my background as Sam Raimi and I've never
right,
picked up a Spider-Man book, Man
right,
Spider's the first one I'm reading.
right, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right? Here's what I'm getting at though. Marvel had a knee-jerk reaction, so we got to bring our comics into conformity with this movie because this movie's big, right? So they implemented this entire lengthy extended plot with this weird mysterious woman and the spider spirit and all this other stuff until Peter Parker became an egg and then Peter Parker hatched and then the only tangible result was Peter Parker had biological web shooters. And everybody
Um,
went, that's fucking lame.
and it wasn't the last time they would do this. Remember when they went back in the comics and retconned the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver to be alien in origin as opposed to
Right,
mutant, so that they
right.
could be used in the Avengers movie?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Where honestly, I think that's more justifiable than your example of Spider-Man, to be honest, because that was to get around a legal licensing issue rather
Right, that
than just to try and
right.
fix something that was an oversight in
The,
a plot development.
the Scarlet Witch Quicksilver thing, yeah, that's legal fuckery that had to be done. But here's what I'm getting at. If we were writing this Spider-Man story,
No, it didn't
okay,
have to be done. They could have used Big Bertha. They could have used fucking Black Hole. They could have used Flatman.
right,
They could have
but
used Forget Me Not.
but
They had other
but
characters.
but Church, just let me cook here for a minute. What I'm saying is that you're doing a Spider-Man book. Spider-Man chases a bad guy into a factory. He's fighting a bad guy. It's a Spider Day ending in Y, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Spider-Man gets doused with chemicals. The chemicals do something to his DNA and biological web shooters. You're done. You're
No,
done.
we moved away from random chemicals causing abhorrent mutations after the 90s,
Well,
which
Right, but how is that not better than a strange and mysterious evil woman wishes to change Peter Parker for his inner nature before the spider spirit
Well,
must be made manifest. And oh, he's going
as
to hatch from a giant egg,
as
naked and
fellow
confused, and have biological web shooters.
as fellow men of culture, everybody on this panel has read comic books from multiple eras. And we can all pretty much look at a comic book and identify openly what era that comic book came from, not only visually by the art style and by the dialogue, but also by the storytelling trapping. In the 50s, all the way up to probably the mid to late 80s, lengthy storytelling was kind of a rare thing in ongoing comic book stories. You had between 15 and 30 pages on average to tell a complete cohesive episode story of a character and then put all the toys back in the box because you might not have a job next month and somebody else might have to pick up those toys out of the box and play with them. Whereas in the 90s, people were given, or in the late 80s and early 90s, contractual, dealings were made, things changed. Like I said, the collector market created a complete and utter shit show of the comic industry. And longer storytelling was probably the best thing to come out of that because then you started to get 6 to 12 to 24 issue arcs that connected through either a slim through line that culminated in a 3 or 4 issue climax at the end of the series, or you would
A
get
terrible choice of words.
sequences. No, you would get a sequence of 3 issues in the middle of an ongoing run that would tell a story or tie in with another character so you could have some overlap. This kind of goes back all the way to 2099, which I'm reading now, to get back to the original topic,
Yeah.
where the Fall of the Hammer was a 5-part story in the middle of 1995, 1996 that introduced all of the mainline 2099 characters into an event that overlapped between all of their stories. In doing this, they introduced characters that you might not have been interested in reading and made you at least consider pulling those other books. If not, you at least had to go pick up those issues to read the full story. This is a storytelling mechanic that didn't exist prior to 19. I mean, there were some slim examples, I think, but 1970 was pretty much the I would say before 1970, you really didn't get that, right? Like Amazing Fantasy didn't cross over into Marvel 2-in-1.
Right.
So, it was a different time, it was a different
What
storytelling technique. And in the 90s, it's almost expected that if you're going to write Spider-Man, that what you write, you're going to have 6, 10, 12, 24 issues to finish up. I mean, writers like Brian Michael Bendis, Jonathan Hickman, Ed Brubaker, a lot of these like super famous writers, they got their bones writing these long ongoing through line arcs that culminated at the end of their runs. Whereas you just didn't get that in the source material for these characters. Like the entire origin of Spider-Man, if it was told today, would be a 6-issue miniseries at minimum. He
the thing
wouldn't be
is,
in that wrestling match as Spider-Man in the first issue.
the thing is,
You would get an entire issue of how dorky and pathetic Peter Parker is, ending in him being bitten by a radioactive spider. You would go into issue 2.
That's because they're writing it for TV now.
Right.
Here's
I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying that's the difference, and that's why when they retconned Peter Parker from the original Sam Raimi movie to have organic webbing, it was such a long, convoluted thing instead of what it should have been, which was a cheesy 80s style one shot.
well, this also coincides with, and this is why I just jokingly said, "Oh no, climax!" Horrible choice of words. I'm a Venom guy. I like me some Venom. Venom has
Mhm.
had multiple runs that were short, 6-issue sets. One of those, right? I want to say it's called The Other. I don't recall if it had a different name, but it's about it's basically John Carpenter's The Thing, right? And Venom travels to the Arctic because the Life Foundation is doing something with symbiotes again, and this apparently has pheromonally charged, so the Venom symbiont wants to breed with whatever this new thing is that the Life Foundation's fucking with, right? But there is an undercurrent of ancient alien divine mission bullshit because there's a robot that is also a secret agent that is trying to do something, and it's full of mechanical spiders.
You
And
know,
it was a terrible run. I read all of it. It's still a
you know,
terrible run.
I
But
remember when Venom was just
It's Venom Shiver.
there you go. The thing is that that story was not only discontinuity to the character, it was discontinuity to continuity. They shoved it under the rug so fast and never refer to it ever, right? Because it's like whatever the fuck that was, it didn't happen. Because there's no like trust in their own material. They're just trying to shake things up for shaking things up. I think the actual problem is again these knee-jerk corporate decisions that affect the writing. We have to do this. Why do we have to do this? To do something new. But how will that serve the narrative? It doesn't matter. It's going to make money.
well,
And
Rune,
it's like, and then it doesn't make money, and they're confused.
No, they're not confused, Rune, because you don't understand their
That
economic sentence.
Yeah.
So a 10 to 12 issue run of comic books costs them less money to produce than a spec script. And a 10 to 12 issue run of a comic book will produce.
we've made this point 100 times. Like we get that.
Yeah. No. I know. But we have some other stuff we can talk about, like the Frankenstein movie, which is really good.
My wife enjoys
Guillermo
it.
del Toro did a really good job making a Frankenstein movie.
I've been avoiding it, but I will eventually see it.
So first, Del Toro is amazing with visuals. All of his visual cues are stunning. I believe I was talking to you the other day about how Frankenstein the book was made to be a mock-up of Shelley and to make him sort of an absurd buffoon. Oscar Isaac was totally playing that version of the character. And the version of the creature that was in this movie, if you were to put him into the text of a Promethean third edition book, that would be your description of Adam's backstory. Works out really well. Very strong acting performances. All around good film. I highly recommend that one. I'm not talking about that as much because there's not a lot of really bad to talk about in it. I also saw Chris Stuckman's movie, Shelby Oaks, and that one was a lot more complicated to talk about. So are you familiar with all this church? Hello?
Is he still here? Did he disappear? No, he's still here.
Church, are you there?
But Church might have been snagged by real life. I mean, he does have the chillins.
Yeah.
Church heads.
So I found some things out about the Shelby Oaks movie.
Okay.
The two main characters are, focusing on elements from his own childhood. He plays the audience viewpoint characters based off of himself, and the sister, the audience viewpoint characters trying to find, is based off of his sister, who was shunned by the Jehovah's Witnesses, and he was shot competently and well. The actors did what they needed to do with the movies. with the story and the script they were given, but the real issue with Shelby Oaks is it was an homage to a lot of different horror movies,
Sorry.
but it wasn't a competent narrative structure of its own. And I'm kind of caught with like a lot of people in our territory of the YouTube review space, and even people who are more in Chris Stuckman's YouTube review space. We're all like, we really want him to do well, and this wasn't that. Maybe you should try it again, but with somebody else as the writer. He could like be producer, director, and have somebody else like buy the groceries for him. But the one we really want to talk about, because Rune's seen it, and there's a lot of.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about something else before Church gets back, because I think Church is going to get into the Predator stuff. Apple TV has a weird TV show called Pluribus. And I just finished watching it, and I don't really know how I feel about the show. So let me give you the plot on the napkin, Rune.
Okay.
Humans pick up a signal from aliens, and the humans figure out that the aliens are sending us a sequence of numbers similar to Morse code,
Right.
and in groupings of 4. The people on the show take a little bit longer to figure it out than I did, because when the science lady said they're actually groupings of 4 number, I'm like going, oh, sending you DNA. That's a bad decision. I mean, you know what they did, right? They made the DNA.
Of course they did.
What I would have actually, and this is made by the guy who made Breaking Bad. So what I would have really liked is if somebody said, didn't they do this in Species? That didn't really work
They
out
did.
well in Species.
And I want to point out something really really important real quick about an old movie, because every film that has copied this trend has more or less made the same mistake, and it hurts me. Okay? In Species, they're like, okay, we found some alien DNA, we're going to clone it, we're going to make the alien. Okay, how did you make it? Well, we cloned it with human DNA, so it looks like a person.
Oh,
That's
no,
not
no.
that's not smart.
Oh,
Wait a
no.
minute. I'm
Oh.
not there yet. I want to get to the big one. And then they're like, okay, why'd you make it a girl? It's like, oh, well, we thought that a woman would be gentler and more easily controlled. Motherfucker, look at nature. Women are consistently larger than males, more violent than males, and more destructive than males for the purposes of breeding in nature.
Well, hold up, Rune. This actually did something different. It was a RNA sequence, kind of like the vaccines that everybody used for COVID.
Of course, it's got to be a COVID thing. Fuck
Right.
everything.
And this got rapidly distributed, which was not the original plan, but the military became concerned when the RNA started rapidly spreading through the population.
Well, right, because we're gonna test our untried alien DNA on our population, because that's smart.
Oh no! You see, that wasn't a plan by us. That was a plan by them. Although them later calls themselves us. So what this RNA does is it gives humanity a hive mind. And there are 12 people who don't get sucked into the hive mind. And our audience viewpoint character is a angry alcoholic lesbian fiction writer.
Yeah.
Who writes trash. Who writes trash that's very popular. The trash she's writing is kind of like ripping off Dune, but like for horny women lit.
So, well, let me ask: does her Dune knockoff have Henry Cavill as The Duke Leto?
It does not, because they actually have
Oh,
a Han
okay.
Solo alike.
Oh, okay. Is it Cavill?
No, but it
I
could have been.
I make this mockery because this is the second piece of fiction we've come up where the primary thrust involves at least one female author who's projecting her sexual deviances onto her material.
Well,
And
no,
it's like,
no.
Jesus Christ, again.
Well, no. That's the thing. She's not doing this. She's only doing that because that's what sells.
I mean, I can't fault that logic. I would write porn if I could make money at it.
Well, it's not quite porn. It's lit talk. It's literature for women. It's just skirting that line.
Yeah,
But then everybody starts having a seizure all over the planet as the hive mind takes over,
right.
and she doesn't get brought in with the hive mind. She starts freaking out, and she goes to bury her wife, who briefly joined the hive mind before dying. And the hive mind's like saying, "Hey, we want to help you." She's like saying no, and then the head of the USDA, which is again, well, this is a COVID thing, talks to her personally through television and calls her to talk to her on behalf of us.
So I'm gonna say that this is just because Joe has, problems, but if anyone asks, your description of this is what's given me a nosebleed. I'm bleeding from the nose because of this.
Mm. Well,
Continue.
this is just the first episode, and the second episode, the hive mind finds a person in North Africa who looks like the original idea she had for her Han Solo alike uh, as a woman, but she was too afraid to make the character a
Mo-
woman in the book.
Are we
Moody,
talking
you're
about
back.
predatory lesbians yet?
Moody,
Well,
you're
we're talking.
back. Or Moody. Oh,
Well,
Church, you're
church.
back. You've made a horrible mistake. Run for your
No,
life.
no. But anyway, so eventually she freaks out on the hive mind, and when this angry drunken lesbian freaks out on the hive mind, they have a seizure, and she caused 11 million people to die.
Was this thing made
Wait,
by
I thought we
Donald
weren't talking
Farmer?
about predatory lesbians yet.
Well, no, this is the predatory part.
But are they predatory?
No.
Hmm.
They are not crab faced. We're not up to that part yet.
Oh
But
no. I was referring to the big controversy in 2023 and 2024 that the trope of predatory lesbians poaching straight women were unfounded.
no, we're not in that territory with
That's
that.
not what we're talking about. I have nothing to contribute to this show.
Well, hold up. Church. There's predators we'll be talking about later. You'll be fine. We'll be talking about predators later.
No. I'm specifically mean like homosexual women, predatory lesbians.
I mean, we're gonna be talking about lesbians later, church. We were saving that for later for the audience. That's good showmanship. But anyway, so she asks the hive mind how many people who are like her who can't be joined to the hive mind for some reason speak English. There's 6 out of 12. And so she asks the hive mind to bring them all together for her so they can talk. And she talks to them and says, "Hey, this is bad, right?" And they're like saying, "No, we totally want to be part of the hive mind and be with our family and friends." And she doesn't take that well. She tries to
What?
pressure the Indian woman into realizing it's fucked up because she talks to the Indian woman's 9-year-old boy who's part of the hive mind and asks him to describe in detail how to do gynecological procedures.
Gross.
Because when you're in the hive mind, you share all human knowledge collectively. She of course causes the hive mind to have another seizure. Untold millions die.
I'm gonna say again, was this movie made by Donald Farmer?
No, this is a TV show. It's
Made by Donald Farmer.
No, made by the guy who made Breaking Bad.
Okay, real quick, do you know who Donald Farmer is?
I think so.
He is a purveyor of lowest bottom of the bin trash films, like utterly vile films. But they all share a unseemly undercurrent that at least one woman will appear in the film half naked, rolling around on the ground in a seizure, possibly vomiting blood onto another woman. It is a thing that he does. It is creepy.
Oh yeah, no, men and women have seizures in this.
Yeah. Okay.
And the third episode ends with a little bit of a conflict because the hive mind can't consciously and willingly cause harm. And one of the other people who isn't subsumed who speaks English wants to take the main character's custodian and have her join his harem. And she needs to be 100% in consent about this in a world where a hive mind just randomly takes over people. And I'm not entirely sure how to feel about what I'm watching. It's making fun of COVID a little bit. It's making fun of the times we're in a little bit, but I'm just not really sure how the total composition works for me.
So
So that
go ahead.
actually takes me to, well, that actually makes me want to comment on Daredevil Born Again. I watched that this week with my wife,
I have
I'm
seen
sorry.
and I had some thoughts because there were some good things about it.
Did they
Uh,
did they die on the vine as you watched the show?
no, there were some good
Okay.
things. There were some things I didn't understand, and there were some things that I thought were objectively bad. The entire show was social commentary, um, down to the interludes of Ben Ulrich's niece and her on the scene reporting, the social commentary of the police adopting the Punisher skull as iconography, and
Which let me tell you,
becoming.
Frank would not be okay with, by the way.
He wasn't. He wasn't. He killed a lot of them in the
Yeah.
show. Um, the the social commentary of vigilante justice and the police overreaching. Trump was obviously an allegory, or Fisk was obviously an allegory for Donald Trump and his mayoral run versus the presidential run. But all in all, I think the storytelling was there to a certain degree. The fact that the show was able to carry for 4 or 5 episodes without the Daredevil suit was something good. I like that. Because that's one thing that as I get older, I don't know. Let me look something up real quick before I start talking out of my ass. Okay. So yeah, it makes me want to. Well, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So Ed Brubaker has written a couple of Daredevil arcs and a book. So I'll have to make sure to pick those up. But in my old age, as my taste developed, it really made me want to read a Daredevil story that was written basically on this premise by Ed Brubaker and see what he did with it. Speaking of Ed Brubaker, I found out today that in September he released a new criminal story with Sean Phillips called The Knives. So after I finish 2099, you guys know what I'll be reading. But no, all in all, there's a lot of social commentary going on in media now, and I do think it's getting a little exhausting. I saw a clip from. Do you there's a show that's basically a sitcom, family sitcom with a black family of a successful not media mogul. Fuck.
Empire. You're talking about
No,
Empire.
no, I'm not. That's not a sitcom. It's not a comedy.
I mean, Empire is pretty funny.
Let's see. God damn it! It's kind of like Modern Family Matters, but not as good. Come on. I want to give the proper name. Not happy together. Mixedish.
I've
No.
never even heard of this.
Blackish. I'm sorry. Blackish.
Oh,
Blackish.
okay.
That
Yeah,
I've heard.
I have heard of that.
Okay, so I saw a clip from that where Simone Biles, of all people, was a guest star, and she was the main character's sister, and she was criticizing him because he doesn't like to go to the ghetto anymore because he's a successful, you know, well-to-do family man. So he doesn't
Oh
take his
yes,
kids to the ghetto.
because
And
everyone
that
wakes up
makes
when the
him
sun is
not black.
warm. Because everyone wakes up when the sun is warm, looks out over their veranda and says, "Yes, today I think I shall slum in the dirty part of town."
Yeah, let me go risk getting shot at, the thing that I
Right.
spent 30 years trying to get out
Look,
of. I grew up in the fucking ghetto. I don't want to go the
okay,
fuck back
okay.
there.
I can actually parse this in the whitest way possible because there've been jokes about this. It is the equivalent of a family getting in their car, like bundling all up in their Sunday best, and driving out to the country to visit their poor farmer neighbors and say, "You see this, Billy? This could have been us, but we got lucky. And aren't you
Mhm.
grateful?"
Yeah.
It is
But
exactly that.
but no, it's just, I saw a clip from that. We've got to stop with the social commentary in our entertainment. We have plenty of venues for that. Nobody is ignorant to, social, political propaganda, any kind of information these
I
days.
mean,
We're all
church,
just fucking overwhelmed by it.
church,
Yeah.
you're wrong. The people who are making it are ignorant about the propaganda.
So
Larry,
So
there's a
You're
here's
cheap
making
joke that I'm not gonna make here.
they hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I gotta put this back up.
so here's the thing. Here's the serious
Wait.
thing. Moody and I are in the course of an experiment with a game. I can't give too many details because it would be inappropriate. But in it, we grabbed a friend of ours named Adam. Larry knows who I'm talking about. We grabbed our friend David, and we said, "Look, we need to build a werewolf pack. The game is set in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're all going to be cops." Okay, because we looked around at the spread of characters and went, "Oh, they let the gaping hole in their spread." So we're making cops.
That's
Okay,
typically what cops do, is leave gaping holes in people.
well, yes, but no, I'm
Well,
talking about
no. Church.
what.
Don't forget
What?
church. There's a lot of lesbian police officers out there, so
Well, yeah, but what
they
I'm
don't
talking
make
about,
gaping holes.
what I'm talking
They
about
just
is that
attack them.
what I'm talking about is that a small group of players came to this game, looked at it, and went, "Oh, these STs do not realize what they've done," and then we filtered ourselves into that spot. Right?
But
But here's the thing, because this was just discussed. We just had a chuckle about this. Moody's playing a black guy. I'm playing a Mexican guy. David is of course playing the token Native American because David always is enthusiastic to get to play his own people, right? And Adam is playing the white guy. We are literally a Burger King Kids Club super team of werewolves,
Well, I
right?
mean,
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
And
we're gonna be getting into the Burger King
well,
Kids
well,
Club
when
soon.
we get into the particulars of who does what, my character is former Border Patrol, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I have a mat on for the cartels. I have a serious I do not like the cartels. We are using the fact that Arizona is a border state and that matters, right, as a backdrop. But it's not our primary thrust. We're not making social commentary. It's not particularly hard to sell people on the idea the cartels suck and I don't like them,
Well, I hate to tell
right?
you this, Rune. I hate to tell you this, Rune. There are a lot of people who don't think that's important.
Well, they can get fucked. Because the thing is that if your form of social commentary is brown people who are poor exist, and you, a white person who got lucky, should feel bad about that, that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna work in the long term.
Well,
Uh,
they don't
so
believe that.
I,
They're,
well,
they're wrong. They're
let me.
objectively wrong.
I have an example.
Okay,
So, I mean, I understand that this is a television show, but
right.
the message was you're bad if you don't want to go to the ghetto and be around your own people. You're not black. You're racist against your own people. But this is what you're avoiding when you don't go to these places.
You know who,
Check
you
in.
know,
My boy on the fries, cuz. Look at,
A manager
look
is
at she
nodding
over there
off on
drooling.
fentanyl at the local
Come
McDonald's.
on, baby girl. You the manager, man. You supposed to do better than this. This shit crazy. Everybody just getting their free meals in, man. Teamwork make the dream work. She don't work her neither. I know that's right. That shit crazy. We live at the McDonald's on Linda, man. I'm out this motherfucker on Linda.
Here's here's the thing. Here's the thing.
you know,
Okay,
That's the world
church,
we live in, guys.
we
church. We never needed the racism time banner more than we just did there.
right somehow without Ayrton being here, Church has not only met the Ayrton bar but transcended it. My
That was just on my feed. I didn't have to look
right,
for that. It was
but
just there at the
here's the
moment that
thing.
I was talking about it.
Here's the thing. Objectively, we all know we shouldn't make fun of people just living their lives in a shitty neighborhood because they're living their lives, even if it is funny. But if we went to all of those people, everyone in that video we just watched, and said, hey, bro, if you could be successful and wealthy tomorrow and get the fuck out of this neighborhood, would you? Their answer is yes, and I take my mama with me. they absolutely don't want to be there.
Well,
Even if they love the neighborhood because it's their experiential level, they're not blind to the fact that it's like I would much rather live in a place with good schools where I don't have to deal with this shit. You know,
so
Yeah, let's take our family back to the old neighborhood where we can go into the McDonald's and steal food because the manager's fucked up on fentanyl. It seems like a great
well,
time, guys.
since we're talking about family, it's time to talk about Predator Badlands
Is
because
Vin
that is
Diesel in this?
it's about family, and that's why it's so powerful.
it. Literally is about family, church.
Is Vin Diesel in it?
No, but he should. It
Yes.
would make it better. It would make it better if
No,
Vin Diesel was
Vin
actually.
Diesel was in it. He just never takes off the mask and gets killed at the 11th hour.
Wait, he's the Predator in the movie?
No, I
Well,
wish.
Rune was making a joke. That would make it better.
I was
So,
I was laying out the mockery.
so Rune, why don't you, since you have a slightly better opinion of the movie than I do, how about you lay out your presentation first?
All right. So the premise of Predator Badlands, and spoilers for people watching this because fuck you, we're going deep, is according to Dan Trachtenberg, there's this thing called the Yautja Codex, Yautja being the species name for the predator, that
The thing he totally
opines
made up.
something he totally made up that opines how predators are supposed to live on, and on Predator Prime, a dad was having a domestic dispute with his sons because one of his sons is a runt and the other one is a big but loyal family loving dude. So
Because his runt brother did save his life that one time.
right. So dad is like, all right, loyal son that I love, murder your little brother because he's a runt. And big brother is like, but dad, you should let him go do a hunt and prove himself because that is the way. Because we are Mandalorians. And dad predator was like, nah, weakness makes us look like suckers. Kill him. And so big brother predator conspires to save little brother predator, and dad straight up murders his loyal son, presumably because he can make more and doesn't give a shit. Right?
This is what I consider the strongest part of the movie, this whole
Right.
sequence.
Right. So little brother predator is now set in a ship on autopilot. He didn't get a chance to get into his seat and lock himself down, so he smashed his noggin against a wall and he was out for the entire trip. He is sent to a hell planet to hunt a impossible to kill monster, so that if he can bring
something that's arguably harder to kill than a xenomorph.
Right, so that he can theoretically bring its head back home and prove that he is a warrior of renown. Right, and this is actually all solid. Right. They get
the premise. I haven't seen the movie, but I did
Right.
read the plot synopsis of it, and the premise of what they're attempting to do with the storyline is decent.
Yeah.
The
Well,
problem, it starts to fall apart in the implementation.
Right.
we'll get to that.
It's about to fall apart. That's the thing. We're going to describe its degradation because I want to be very clear. They didn't make one mistake that people are saying they made. Okay? Throughout this film, the male predator, the runt predator, does not need to be rescued all the time by a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Because he lacks skill or capacity. He straight up wrecks, murders, and destroys pretty capably throughout.
Well,
he does get bailed out a couple of times, but those are exceptions that prove the rule. I'm just saying he's never presented as and he's an idiot.
Right, but
right.
This is something I will say actually.
Yeah.
The reason where there's a little light in this description is you're not wrong, but what this movie does better than most movies that accept the more contemporary audience perspective is it says you need to be more empathetic, you need to be more compassionate, and make you a better hunter. So it doesn't frame it in an aggressively negative way.
Right.
And it doesn't do that because it's using the intersectionality framework. He is a disabled Yautja, so he is superior to other Yautja. And his companion is a disabled android, so she's superior to other androids. So you can't have a negative conflicting attitude between the two of them.
The thing is, all of that is commie gobbledygook. We miss you, Norm. Because yes, he discovers a Weyland-Yutani android that is broken in half, and at first he's gonna write it off because he doesn't need no help. He's a powerful warrior, but he decides, nah, wait a minute, it's a tool, it's a machine. I could use it. I will take it with me, right? But it is the most obnoxious character in the movie because it never shuts the fuck up. It's constantly talking in Marvel quips. Right, and we're supposed to feel bad because this robot and another robot look identical and were made at the same time, and they're like sisters, and they love each other very much. It's like, you're robots. You were programmed to feel this way. Shut the fuck up.
Well, the other robot doesn't feel that way.
Right,
so,
but our
main character robot has something fucked up in her head.
Main character robot is supposed to be the one we empathize with, and it's like, no, you are not Bishop. We liked Bishop because Bishop was just doing his job and was like, hey man, I don't want to die as much as the rest of you. He understood the company was not his friend. Okay? All of these other subsequent robots have tried to be some kind of transhumanist, more human than human. I love being alive bullshit, and it's like, no, you're just androids. You're machines. We made you in a lab. on a factory floor, on an assembly line, with a box of scraps. So the point is that they are tracking back to where the Weyland-Yutani settlement was destroyed to find this super predator, this super animal, and we are introduced to a cute monkey, a space monkey, which clearly was some Disney exec's insistence there needed to be a cute toy for the kids in this movie that is not for kids, right? And they
Or
surprised us.
the allegorical romantic couple does need a pet.
A baby, yeah. But here's
A
the thing:
pet is a baby proxy.
they did surprise me. They did pull a twist. Spoilers for the twist for a movie you haven't seen or aren't gonna watch. It turns out that the baby space monkey is the baby form of the giant murder monster. And it's like, huh, that's kind of neat.
And that's how the predator survives the murder monster.
Right, because he befriended the baby monkey. The baby monkey spat its goo on him and said, "I like you," and this saved the predator's life. But here's the thing: the evil androids catch up with them, capture the giant monster because, of course, they want it for the bioweapons program. Capture the predator, capture the damaged android. Everybody's gonna die. It's all awful. And they have to work together to escape, right? The half android doesn't escape. The Yautja's loose in the wilderness, but he's got none of his equipment, right? And the evil androids are still gonna win. So the Yautja uses his predator techniques to basically engage in animal husbandry. He goes through an extended everything I've learned in the movie I'm going to use because it's payoff montage, right? To attack the other Weyland-Yutani facility that they haven't set up at all. They never laid out that this was an advanced camp that got attacked, right? So there's a full-on base on this murder planet somehow. He goes, he raids it, they save everybody, they beat the bad guy, they save the baby monkey, and they escape the planet with a stolen Weyland-Yutani ship. They go back to Predator Prime. Runt faces down his dad and murders him in daring fashion.
And a couple of other guys.
And a couple of other guys. But the important part is that he is not going to be part of his dad's clan of power mad assholes. He's got his own clan with the now much larger baby monkey and his
blackjack and hookers.
Right, because he's forming the found family.
But they then do the Marvel teaser ending where he has to face off with his mom.
Right, now, but hold on. Are they going to bring in the Asian guy that knows how to drift?
I mean that's the next movie. That's the next movie when they have to put together a team to pull a job.
Well, no, I mean because they're already at 9 Predator movies. The 10th one's usually the end of these franchises.
Right.
But they're going to get the Rock in to not lose a fight with no steroids.
Look, we're all being very snarky, but I just want to say, okay, if it's because we're talking about
I actually really love the Fast and the Furious movies.
No, hold on a minute. I'm serious. We're talking about Fox, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If they went to Vin Diesel and said, "Vin, we're going to let you make a last or another Riddick movie," and he's like,
he's
"Okay."
already got that in production,
right? And then you said, "But it has to be a crossover with Predator, so it's Predator versus Riddick." I would have my ass in that seat. Okay.
But,
oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
So there was another element of family drama.
Ooh, and it should be. Hold on, it should be on the same planet as the fucking Starship Troopers.
On Klindathu, so we can fight bugs too.
Yes.
So the two androids also had parental issues, but their parent was the supercomputer for Weyland Yutani. And so it's all about how the crippled android was like Deck, our main character, Predator Boy, who's also viewed as a failure by its parents, which is part of the whole gay subtext argument a lot of the journalists are making, because it's what the studio wants them to make, because the studio doesn't know how to market this movie,
Right.
because it's not well done. It's not well thought out. And the only one of these Dan Trachtenberg movies that really had any good word of mouth was Prey, and that's because of the Native American cast.
Well, let me throw something out there as a for instance of how this movie is bad by talking about something they did correctly, but they couldn't present it well, and this is why people are so confused and conflicted. Okay. In the Predator Society, in the expanded lore for extreme nerds like me who love this franchise, right? It is not unknown for predators to diversify and specialize, right? Some of them like to have lots of equipment and tricks. Some of them like to have to use the predator cloaking device in all their hunts and almost never come out of invisibility. You know, there are different ways of approach, right? Some of them like blowing stuff up with their plasma casters, whatever. We saw from Robert Rodriguez's Predators, it's not unknown to have a dude that's like, I use hunting hounds. Okay. If this young predator says, fuck my clan, fuck my family, I'm going to build my own clan with hookers and blackjack, and I'm going to populate it with the animals and the creatures that I collect throughout the galaxy while I go hunting down people and murdering them, that's legit.
That's
There's
legit within
nothing
their
wrong
standard.
with that, right? But it's not a found family narrative. And trying to make it a found family narrative dilutes the idea. It makes it worse. It's dumb. They took a cool thing and said, let's make it dumb.
But they decided there were several mistakes in the creature design. They decided to make the predator look more human so it could be more relatable to the audience.
Right. Like we weren't already relating to something that was already 8 feet tall and looked like a murder machine.
Yeah, yes. And that was also why they made Deck a runt, so he'd be more human sized. So
Right.
that's a problem element because they just don't know what the predators are for in the story. And instead of the predator being a force of violence that shows us how violence hierarchies work and put the mirror at us, because we were talking the other day about horror movies, and you said horror movies have to be mysteries, but I also remembered something I picked up in literature class, in that horror movies in particular were often about things you couldn't talk about through other means. So, what's the thing this Predator movie spends a lot of time talking about? Corporations are bad, yo.
Right.
Corporations are terrible and they want to exploit us. That's not something you can't talk about. But the original Dracula movie, the OG Dracula movie, do you know why the carriage didn't have a driver in it? Because they were talking about the unemployment that was going on during the Great Depression in the Dracula movie. So, to Church's point about social commentary, is these do subtle things with social commentary to draw the attention of the audience, but not take away from the story.
So
In this, the predator's not about the hunt, he becomes about revenge against systems of power, which makes him actually weaker as a storytelling device.
well, because here's the thing. I'm going to make two comparisons. One of them is going to be really funny. The first is that a Predator movie is basically a werewolf movie, right?
Yes,
The
absolutely.
basic thesis is violence is part of our makeup, not just on an instinctual level, but on a societal one. We have
Mm.
systems of violence, right?
Yes.
But this movie, what this movie wanted to be and didn't know it wanted to be, is a much maligned movie that is a fun watch, but I understand why people talk shit about it. They wanted it to be Waterworld. Okay, and you go, what the fuck do you mean water
On that
worlds
note,
go? Right. Okay. Why do I say that? What's the best scene in Waterworld? Can you guess?
the last one before they roll the credits and the movie's over.
Well, hold up. What about the one where
shame.
Kevin Costner's gills look like vaginas?
Both of you, for shame. No, it is a stupid scene, but it is great. So it is two parts. So your forward part of the scene is Dennis Hopper chewing every bit of scenery he can. He's speechifying to his minions, right? Because he's gonna get the ship underway, right?
Dennis was very good at doing that.
On the other end, you have that stupid little girl running her chops. What's she talking about? She's telling you the legend of Kevin Costner, right? And throughout, they keep hot cutting to Kevin Costner straight up murking dudes as he storms the ship. Yes, Church.
I'll see your Dennis Hopper chewing the scenery, and raise you Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, chief metallurgist of Prince Charles I of Spain.
Yeah, but we're not talking about best cheese. We're talking about best scenes in a bad in this specific bad movie. Sean Connery's not in Waterworld to Waterworld's detriment.
If you take away the Queen soundtrack,
yes,
and Sean Connery chewing the scenery,
it's great. It's amazing.
Highlander is not a good movie.
Hold up. There's another pillar. There's the Kurgan.
It's true.
Yeah, but Clancy Brown can only carry so much. I mean, he can carry a lot. He's a large man. Well, was a large man.
But what I'm getting at, okay, is that the context of the story in Waterworld, even though Waterworld is 90% trash, okay, is that the Mariner, that's the name for Kevin Costner's dude, who's a man with no name, was surviving. He was successfully surviving. He didn't need any of this bullshit, right? And learns survival's not enough. You need more than survival, right? And that leads him to do heroic things that become an action film, right? If they had dumped the Predator on Hell Planet, okay, and
or on the Hell Rock in 2099.
Yeah, we'll get there. And we're taking off, and the Predator had to do a murderizing to save his people, and that murderizing included taking out other predators, right? Oh,
yeah.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this disruption, Church?
There's a whole series of these.
Man, Fent is a hell of a drug.
He just passed out in the sandwich.
He is now part of the sandwich. But
I don't even want the sandwich no more, bro.
But if this movie had been structured in such a way where the Predator did a classic saving the day kind of thing, right? But it was also ultra fucking violent because that's what's needed to fight these things, right? And not just sort of generic modern Hollywood violence. It could have been great. They could have done it, but they didn't want to lean into what the movie's actually about. They couldn't, for instance, make the very intelligent statement that people raised in violence grow up to be violent, so we have, generational violence, right? Because your good guy can't also be a bad guy. That doesn't work. It's like, no, predators are intergalactic big game hunters. If he's gonna go murder people to save his friends, it's gonna be vile.
Well, not only that, but he might just be murdering because he's on a weekend away with the boys.
Right.
This could whole just time, be what they're doing on Thursday evening.
Here's the thing. The whole time I was watching this movie, what I kept waiting to happen that didn't happen was for Dad Predator to come after his runt son to kill him. right? I was waiting for when are the team of Predators going to show up to be fighting Wayland Yutani, and now it's a 3-way grudge match, and our hero must murder other, more equipped, more skilled dudes. Because, quite frankly, while the androids are theoretically physically resilient, the entire thing, in the language of a video game level, he was fighting trash mobs the whole movie. It really was. Like, the most dangerous things were quick time events with evil plants. Until he fought the android in the giant loader. Because we had to take the loader from Aliens 2 and we had to make it even bigger.
You just sparked a little story time, and then I sadly must depart and get ready to go to work held tomorrow.
Okay.
But so I offer a unique perspective to this show, and some unique stories in the sense that I'm the only one of us with children.
Yeah.
So let me just give you a brief tale of what having children entailed this week. My son had told us that something he wanted either for Christmas or his birthday, or just for something he would like to have. The game called Minecraft Story Mode by a company called Telltale Games.
I know
Vern, you're familiar with Telltale Games.
I am, and I know this game.
He really wanted it. He had played it a long time ago on his iPad or his Android or something, and he couldn't get it back or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be too hard. Lo and behold, this game doesn't fucking exist anymore because the company doesn't fucking exist anymore.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm no stranger to the high seas. Let's jump on the boat and see if I can find him a copy.
Yo ho.
And a bottle of rum later, I did find a copy, but then I was faced with another problem. You have to have administrator permissions on a computer to install things. And I don't know if you boys remember or not, but Church has been known to drink a little bit. Well, he got the computer that he currently has probably about 2-3 years ago. And for the life of me, I had no fucking clue what the administrator passkey was set up as. So I had to go and get a flash drive and basically hot boot my way into the Windows setup to disable whatever passkey was there for the system's admin setting and enable that just to install this fucking game. It took him a grand total of 2 days to be done with this game.
Yep.
I spent probably 6 trying to figure out how to get it to him. Because even if you buy hard copies of this game for PlayStation 4 and Switch, you cannot access all the content because the servers that hold the content don't exist anymore. That's the kind of shit you have to do when you're a dad. Case in point, be prepared for that kind of stupid shit before you have children. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. But anyway, with that, another quick bit. Larry and I discussed this earlier. I think it was in the group text. Hulk 2099. We briefly touched on that before the show or right after the show started. Written by a pederast. Written by a convicted pedophile. Completely makes sense because the first story arc of the Hulk is him chasing the trail of a young boy and trying to take him back from the authorities that had captured him.
Look, Church, this Rick Jones is 8 years old. It's fine.
What now?
Because I mean, this Rick Jones is just 8 years old. It's fine. Because I mean, it's a Rick Jones sort of character, but kid's fucking 8 years old the way he's drawn.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, Church?
No, No, and he rebuffs the attentions of an attractive young woman to go chasing after an 8-year-old.
Who ends up in the hands, if I remember, of a cult of gladiators.
Yes,
Do you like?
the
Do you
cult,
like?
the
They
Sons
like
of Banner.
gladiators, Jimmy.
Exactly. That's where I was going.
Uh-huh.
Surely you jest.
No. Convicted pedophile was arrested with
Oh,
thousands of images of
church.
CP.
Church.
Yep.
You
Yep.
failed me.
What?
I make the Leslie Nielsen setup and you don't
Oh,
follow through. You've seen Airplane, motherfucker.
I haven't actually. I only saw Naked Gun.
No way.
Oh, you need to
Oh,
see
okay.
Airplane.
We gotta make that happen. That is an all
Yep,
four of us movie. Eric will show up for that. We gotta watch Airplane.
only if we watch Spaceballs 2.
Well,
Why-
Not,
Spaceballs 2
not
is
Spaceballs 2, but Spaceballs as well.
Oh, Spaceballs as well. Okay. All right. I'm down with that.
I was about to say, Church, Spaceballs 2 is only in pre-production right now.
Well, here's the thing. If we watch that, then we also have to watch Airplane 2, because there is the sequel with
I mean, with
William
Shatner.
Shatner.
Yes, we have to watch that as well.
Okay, we gotta watch a couple of funny movies.
With that, gentlemen, I bid you adieu. I have to go get ready for work, of which I've had nightmares about all weekend.
Oof.
I feel for you.
Godspeed,
Church.
sir. Godspeed,
All right.
sir.
Good night, gentlemen.
That-
Good night.
So with that in mind, now that Church is away, because I didn't want to damage Church before he has to go do a damaging thing, I just read one of the most vile things I can possibly imagine, Larry.
Well, how about we do a palate cleanser for the couple of people who will be watching this?
Well, no, let me get this out because it is related directly to Predator Badlands, and then we can leave Predator Badlands alone. So this is the sour aftertaste, if you will. Okay. So as you recall, you and I were in a chat with somebody of note. We actually we're talking to somebody or talking near somebody important. Robert Meyer Burnett, who,
Yeah.
as I recall, was a former Star Trek writer.
Yeah.
Right? He was commenting on somebody's frankly shit take of Badlands. I said, I don't think it matches up to the comparisons, because Burnett was saying that it's a mid 20th century adventure story. It's Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's like, no, this is not Tarzan. I've seen better. Right?
I
This is
mean,
not this is not
I think-
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I think my comment was right.
Right.
It's a Whedon-esque actioner with wearing the ideas of Predator like a skin suit.
Right. So to be fair, we were not saying it's bad. We addressed that it's complicated movie, but it's not great, right? Mr. Burnett reposted comments by Lee McCoy. Who's Lee McCoy? I don't fucking know. Somebody. He's a YouTube film critic, Rotten Tomatoes certified horror lover. So basically a subhuman. Who cares? Quote, "My second viewing of Predator Badlands completely solidified its #1 spot for the year for me. I almost choked up a few times with the beautiful themes of this movie. If your
Jesus
current
Christ.
family doesn't accept you, find a new one that will. I think a lot of people can relate to this." Wait,
Yeah,
stop, hold up.
yeah, it's a gay movie.
No, not about that bullshit. Although that motherfucker gay. Okay? No. See, my mom lost both her legs, got real sick. I had to take care of her. Okay? My old man got real sick, died of cancer at the same time. Okay? Before that, my old man was a constant pain in my ass. We've kind of mentioned it in very loose. You know, we try not to be too down in this environment. But I stuck by this family. All right? No matter how much of a bitch they might have been, because they're my family. It's the only one I got. Right? Now, from a certain perspective, if you say, "But Joe, what about the found family?" It's like, sure, I got a found family. We will go with that. I got, I hang out with you, I hang out with Church, I hang out with Ayrton. I got all these parasocial relationships that are people I know, right? So it's like, Joe, do you have any kids? Sure. Who are your kids? Like, well, Church has got kids. I've got, Ty's grandma is my grandma, so on and so forth, right? but my actual family was always my fucking family. Okay? I could have walked away at any fucking time. I could have just ripped their asses off. Right? And I didn't. Why didn't I? Because that would be fucking vile. Abandon a sick and dying woman, abandon a dying man, just because they didn't give you the life you think you fucking deserve, right? After they busted their asses and worked their youth away. I lost 10 years, Larry.
Mhm.
I was 20 when this story started. I'm sorry, no, I was almost 30 when this story started. I'm 40 now. All right? I missed out my youth. Other people were dating women. I was at home taking care of my folks. The fuck do you mean? Abandon the family you don't want to find the family that likes you. Holy shit. That is some of the most superficial Gen Z fucking cock gargling bullshit.
I mean, it's standard queer theory nonsense.
Look,
But I mean, let me
let me cut them some slack. Let me be fair. My aunt's a bitch. Okay, my
Mhm.
father, his entire life, talked about how much of a brat and a bitch she is. Okay, and in his desperation to connect after my grandmother died, he made connections to this woman who came up to our house to visit, but really was spending 3 months sleeping on our floor so that she could make her boyfriend take her back. Right? And
Mhm.
she spent a lot of money buying my dad stuff that literally like a week after he was dead, she came back to the house to take.
Well, that's
Okay?
unpleasant.
All right? Yeah, sure, she took me to Vegas. I'd never been to Vegas, but it was only because she wanted to drink and gamble and she was bored at my house, or my folks' house rather. Okay? This woman was awful. And I consistently looked at my old man and said, "Why do you care? Why is connection this important?" Right? My father was awful, but I lived with him. I was present. I was I was less than a block away when I was in my own house. Right? When I had to do that measurement and go, "Why should I help these people? They suck." The answer was because I can. I can actually do it. I have no excuse. But if I had been a state away, or 3 or 4, or I had been across the fucking planet, right? I'd have been like, I want to help. I really can't. There's nothing I could do because there's nothing I could do, right? As far as I'm concerned, my family in California doesn't exist. None of them came up to ask me about my mother after she died. None of them are in contact with me. None of them know who the
Mhm.
fuck I am. I'm a ghost. Who cares, right? If your family is so abusive because you're a person of an alt lifestyle that you need to leave them, I'm not faulting you for that, right? You
Mhm.
don't need to keep the abusive dad, sure, right? But that was not what was parsed. What was parsed was basically that familial connection is transactional, and if you don't get the transaction you want, abandon them at your first possible fucking convenience.
Mhm.
And like that is way more awful.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to talk also about saying like this is the best movie bar none for him. You know, there was a movie called Nobody 2. It was a sequel to the original Nobody movie.
Yeah, I've
You know
heard
what
of that.
you know what the themes were? It was about a man who was a dad who worked too hard, and he was losing connection to his family. And so the metaphor of his job as a professional hitman, he began to realize the importance of his family and of living a more balanced life. That's a lot stronger than what we got out of Predator Badlands by far. We have Sinners, which is a much better movie, except for the ending all the way through. And it's a movie. It's about like a parallel story of two brothers who are drifting apart, spiritually and metaphorically, and they're confronting like a systemic spiritual evil in the land. Again, that's a stronger story and a stronger themes. So, I mean, that guy's an idiot. He's absolutely an idiot. But the studio wants people to take this as a gay coded story. It is what it is.
Here's the thing. Those two statements are in opposition to each other.
No?
Yes, they are. Here's the thing. What does coded actually mean? I don't mean what the on book definition is. I'm saying in usage. What does it mean? When they say it's coded, what they're saying is that even if you watch it and it says it's one thing, on a
Mhm.
subconscious level, it means another. You didn't
Right.
know it, but your brain did. So
Right.
so this movie is queer coded. How? Because deep down you know it's gay,
Well, no. It's
right?
the family dynamic of not being accepted for being different to the point that your parent
Right,
wants to
but
kill
that's a
you. Or something.
universal experience.
No, it's
You
not.
don't have to be
It's
gay to not be
absolutely not.
accepted by your family.
Right. But you missed the second shoe there. Your parents want to kill you because you're different. That's not a universal experience, but it is a very common gay
I mean,
experience.
here's the thing. In modernity, it is not a universal experience. Okay? But do not try to tell me that at different stages in human history, it wasn't a more common experience.
But we're
Right?
dealing with
I
right
have
now.
I am noble lord. I have 2 sons, and only one of them can inherit. Fight to the death for
Right.
my amusement.
Right.
It's
That's a
happened.
different story. But that's a different story.
Right, but here's what I'm
We're-
getting at, Larry. Okay, and we'll use Predator as our guideline. All right, we have son that is heir apparent. We have the runt. We have an alien culture, and the father says, "You're an embarrassment. I want you to die." Right,
Not
right,
just an
and
embarrassment, he's a weakness.
right, and to be particular, at the start when they have that conversation, it's not I'm ordering you to do it now. He said, "Why is it not done?" Which implies they had this conversation already. And on the opening combat training montage, right? The the brother was supposed to kill the young one already. He's actually disobeyed twice,
Yeah.
right? So let's be clear here. In a culture where strength is valued, the cruel patriarch said, "I will not support weakness in my family because I rule here." All right, it has nothing to do on a practical level with, well, you like boys, you have to die, you're a weakness and an embarrassment to me. That's not the story.
And
It's not coded.
in the common gay experience is you have a sibling who protects you from the abusive parent.
I don't give a fuck.
That's
See, back in the day, we used to do this thing called reading books. Okay? And books would have themes and ideas in them.
I mean,
right?
Joe, why is the curtain yellow?
Right, but here's the thing. Then, after you read the book, right, after you read it, you would sit back and you'd go, "That was a really good book." And then you'd think about, well, what did that book mean to me? And then you had what's called, you may be shocked to hear about this, Larry, an opinion. And your opinion wasn't substantiated by fact, but you were able to infer, sources that said, I think this is supported, in my opinion. And that was it. Right? So if a gay person wants to watch Predator Badlands and say, to me, this felt, representative of the gay experience, that's fine.
It was written
Okay?
to be that way.
But here's the thing. When you say it is what it is, okay, what you are saying is that it is what is presented. Okay? Well, what's presented is not coded as anything. What's presented is a simple narrative of a father attempting to purge the weaknesses from his family in a predatory, violent alien culture. All right?
and
If
they
it's supposed to,
designed it.
if it's supposed to be coded as something, and it's
Mm.
supposed to also be what it is, you need to be more fucking explicit.
Because
right.
you can't do that when you're coding things. Because you're coding things because it's
Because
too
coding
controversial.
things is bullshit. It's
It's-
not coded.
It's how people express subversive themes
Lies.
against social repression.
Lies. Consistent lies. Because I want to know
All-
what repression. Where's the repression? Who is coming out and saying, if you have a gay person in our movie, we'll kill you? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember Brokeback Mountain came out, and everyone was like, holy shit, those gay men kiss and they fuck. And it was a well thought of movie.
I mean, it wasn't that well thought of.
Right, but
And-
it had Heath Ledger, one of the greatest
Yeah.
actors of our time.
Yeah. But here's the ultimate thing. There's literature going back to ancient times that hides things in plain sight. In fact, it's an entire subset of Platonic philosophy, of how Plato hid things, crypto philosophy, whatever. It's a little bit of common gobbledygook. It really is.
It is 3 stages of comedy gobbledygook, but I'll let you continue.
But the problem is the whole movie is layered on intersectionality. So since it's layered on intersectionality, even if Dak was not intended to be gay, Dak fills the role of a gay character in the intersectional narrative. So he becomes gay by being in the gay slot. That's how their logic works.
Which is bullshit.
I
Which
mean,
is full
again,
stop bullshit. Because here's the thing. We have 3, like I said, 3 layers of bullshit. 3
Mhm.
layers on the sundae. So step 1, okay, is an actual illusion, not illusion, allusion.
Mhm.
ALLU, right? And as you say, in ancient sources, when we couldn't talk about certain things, or perhaps because we were trying to make an Orphic experience where you discover it, you hide things in the narrative. Fine. Okay? But the fiction is also exactly what it is. Right? So is the Iliad about the gods? Yes. Is the Iliad also about the war? Yes.
Well,
It's both of those things.
Well, hold up. You would actually argue the Iliad's not about the gods. Because you could remove the gods from the narrative of the Iliad and nothing changes.
But do the gods appear, and are the gods using the war as a proxy for their own disputes?
But that's
Yes.
how we read that today. That's not how the person in Homer's time would have read that.
No, I'm saying, do the gods actually appear in the text?
Right, but that's not how a person in Homer's time would have read it.
No, Larry, it's a yes or no. Do the gods as characters appear in the text?
In the modern reading, yes. But
No, not in the
classical
reading, in the actual text. Is the word Zeus appeared in the text?
Zeus appeared at that time does not mean Zeus literally appeared. That's not how the ancients
All right.
viewed
How
that.
do we? Here's the thing. How do we know that for certain?
Because the ancients discussed how they talked about the gods. They discussed their theology, their philosophy. They discussed how
All right.
they used gods in poetry. So that's
All right,
how we know.
So this is a problem I had in an entirely different conversation. All right, because there's another conversation about Tolkien. We all love talking about the professor, right?
Mhm.
And Sandy Peterson, of all people, made the argument that he didn't care for everything in Lord of the Rings because he specifically felt that Tom Bombadil was unnecessary. Oh no, he didn't like Tom Bombadil. The world comes to an end, right? And people jump bad with him. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You have to read the Silmarillion. You have to read the unpublished letters. You have to read this. You have to read that. Bullshit. If I have to do homework to understand your primary medium, it's not well written. If it's supposed to be there, put it in there. Now, before you rejoin here, let me make clear. Yes, ancient sources have different perspectives on fiction, and I understand that maybe they don't do that, and we just have to accept it. Okay? But that's why they're ancient sources. That's why it's the first level of the
Right.
shit sandwich.
Sure. But
Because
my whole perspective is that you can't completely kill the author. If you're
right,
killing the author, you're an asshole.
right.
So the gods
But
weren't used as gods because that's not how the classical Greeks viewed them. We view the gods as gods because we have a intellectually and morally inferior perspective.
but that brings us to the second stage. What's the second stage? The second stage is two equal but opposite levels of asshole. Right? There's the systematizers who construct history, and there's the deconstructionists, which we used to call revisionists. Right?
Well,
So
I mean, no, those are two very different academic approaches.
they're not. They are ultimately not, because even if their functions are
Well,
different,
no.
the results are the same.
No. You can be a revisionist and not be a postmodernist. You can't be a deconstructionist and not be a postmodernist.
Sure. But what I'm getting at is still that somebody at some point said, this is the way this is interpreted as a final statement. Right? And then somebody else came along and said, well, no. Academic sources, academic research have shown that this is actually only one opinion. Here are several other equally valid interpretations. Right? And that's where you get the viability of things like, well, actually, the ancients didn't speak of the gods in this way. We speak of the gods in this way. That's viable. That's fine. Okay? But then this third layer, the new layer, the intersectional layer, if we will, more accurately, the postmodernist layer, right, is that nothing means nothing because everything means everything else. Okay? And this isn't even the first time this has happened in academia. If you go into occultic circles, right, before the rise of Christendom, there were a bunch of different gods, a bunch of different belief systems, a bunch of different ideologies. After the rise of Christendom, there was this strong effort in academe and occultic circles to consolidate the Mediterranean into a shared monomythology, so that it was all Christian, essentially, or Christian inspiring, or Christian inspired. And you get stupidity like the Hermetics saying that Anubis, ancient Egyptian god of the dead, is also aligned with Hermes, messenger of the gods, is also aligned with other ideologies to create Hermanubis, this Greek and Roman imagery of multiple gods. Okay, it's academic fuckery. It's stupid.
I mean, that actually was done by the Romans.
Right, but the Hermetics in the early medieval and Renaissance reaffirmed it as true when it wasn't. It was never fucking true.
But back to the meat and potatoes of this.
Right. Well, it ultimately brings us back to Predator Badlands. If you just watch it for what it is, I'm not saying turn off your brain. I'm saying watch it for what exactly the film says. It's not a gay narrative. It's not a feminist narrative. It's not an intersectionalist narrative. It is an extremely mid fucking Predator movie.
Well, I mean, it's a Marxist narrative.
It's not even a Marxist narrative.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Where were they seizing the means of production, Larry?
The end scene where they destroyed Whaling Yutaни's control of the animals and liberated the animals.
That's not a Marxist narrative, Larry. I could argue that's an eco-terrorist narrative. We're freeing the animals because Weyland Yutani is not natural.
Eco-terrorism is a derivative philosophy from Marxism. It all comes through Leninism. It's all downstream.
But what I'm saying though is that there's not even a cohesive agreement about what is or is not actually coded. Right? Okay, so it's not a Marxist narrative. It's a Weyland Yutani is an evil corporation shitbag narrative.
Right, but they can't have it tangible because they work for an evil corporation, and that's the real story.
But here's the thing, Larry. 30 years ago, you could, and nobody would have complained. So why is it a problem now?
Oh, the companies weren't as evil 30 years ago.
They absolutely were.
No, the people running the companies were evil, but the companies themselves were not based around evil.
Bullshit. Look, look, what you're describing, because I'm not taking you to task, really. Okay, what you're describing is that young, fresh-faced idiots in Hollywood who came to the city of dreams to become stars and make movies, joined the system and then went, but 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 Hollywood is evil on the inside, and then we're desperate and are desperately trying to pretend that it's not. All the corporations are evil. They always were. Whether they were actively evil or passively evil, whether they actively chose to do bad things or they just simply profited by bad things by proxy, it's always been the cost of doing business. And that doesn't necessarily mean that every boss is a Lex Luthor rubbing his hands together and plotting the death of orphans. Okay? But somewhere in the path of this blind, ignorant bureaucracy, 40 cakes is getting stolen. Because they were always getting stolen. Nobody ever actually believed the company was good.
Bear with me a moment. I'm hearing cat type noises, and I need to see what that is. So buy me a couple minutes.
Okay. So while Larry is doing that, I'm going to tell everyone about the nightmares I've been having, because the reason I feel so passionate about this film, the reason it has such power over me, is because I watched it 2 days ago. And then last night, for whatever fucking reason, I had nightmares about this movie, which included a clip scene of the future, a prophecy, if you will, of the future, called Predator 2: The Musical. And in Predator 2: The Musical, it's exactly what you think it was, right? It's a scene by scene recreation of Predator, but with singing.
I mean, I'm all in for it.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
But yes, my cat decided he was going to be playing with my clothes hamper in my bathroom area, along with my
Also,
toilet brush.
Wibbs, welcome to the party. I didn't see you before then, but it's good to have you
Yeah.
here.
So we're going to have a palate cleanser now because
Yes,
we need a palate cleanser.
we had our very, very awful flavor like aftertaste. Now we definitely need something nice for that. What do
So
you got?
I was watching a Spanish television show on Netflix.
Oh, those are great. I mean, they can be great.
So here's the show. It's about a country veterinarian who's got a problem. It's a real basic problem. When you're a country veterinarian, your clients, they don't always have a lot of money. Well, I mean, they got a lot of eggs, they got a lot of milk,
Mm.
but you know what your landlord doesn't want? He doesn't want eggs or milk. He wants money. The electric company doesn't want eggs or milk. They want money. So he has to accept a job from his niece. Now, why does he have to accept the job from his niece? Well, his other option is to work for some corrupt gangsters who want
Yeah,
to inject some cows with some stuff that makes them inflate with water, which isn't a good thing. It's bad for people, bad for cows. It's a crime. And it's
yeah,
all about this country veterinarian going to work in a boutique pet shop and dealing with the unusual foibles of the pet people. It's like, what if he was an old, kind of crotchety country veterinarian doing a Dr. House in an episode with a
right.
couple who had a dog with a limp? And then in an episode later, the dog has to come back and get euthanized because the man thinks if he euthanizes the dog, he can fix his marriage. Um, it does not fix his marriage. It does not fix his marriage at all.
As one might suspect.
He has to lie to a small child in one episode because the child's mom replaced her guinea pig, and unfortunately replaced it with a guinea pig who was pregnant.
Oh dear.
And then he tells the child the truth, which makes the mom extremely unhappy.
Right.
Now, this show, spoke about systems of corporate power, political corruption, organized crime. But at no point was it lecturing and all that. It was just real. It was about real people living real lives with real problems. And one of the big complaints the main character had was when he was in the boutique pet shop, they had a $200 sex toy for a dog. Can't can't he just fuck a pillow? Well, no. This one has a mechanism in it, so it stops moving. And he gets told, "Well, you need to sell stuff to people." He's like, "But they don't need it." It's like, well, "Yeah, but you gotta sell it because that's the job. You work for a company, and you got to get good boy points. And if you get enough good boy points, they'll pay for you a vacation." And it's a good show. It's a good show because it talks about real things that real people are experiencing. But what's not real? Kim Kardashian made a TV show.
I don't think Kim Kardashian is a real person. Um,
Well, Kim Kardashian decided she was going to make a show about being a lawyer because she's a lawyer. Now, we can argue about how woke the Predator movie was. This was a woke show.
right.
Kim Kardashian and her best friend go into the head of the law firm, who's played by Glenn Close, and say, "Hey, listen, we're young, we're attractive, we're competent lawyers, and we're breaking out and making our own law firm." And she's like, "You go, girl. You do that. You make your own law firm." And then their friend said, "Me too, right, guys?" They're like, "No, we're not bringing it." Then she goes to the other woman, goes to Glenn Close, and she says, "Well, Golda Meir once said she was blessed by God by not being beautiful because she had to develop other talents." And I'm like, this is terrible. This writing is awful. And they have a sassy black lady who becomes their lead investigator,
Of course.
and it's almost entirely an unwatchable show. And this is all inspired by Kim Kardashian becoming a lawyer. Their first episode and a half is about a divorce case, and I couldn't make my way through it.
Well, interesting enough, because we are we are sometimes misunderstood at the gospel because people think that we are one way. We are not like the Lotus Eaters. We are not like uh Drinker and some others. We don't hate woke because woke wrong, because women bad. We hate it because bad fiction, right? I just
Well,
mentioned Sandy.
also it's a method of political control
Right.
designed to oppress people.
Well, I just mentioned in conversation Sandy Peterson. That's someone I had commented on, and that he and I were of a mind actually about how Tolkien is not the magical wizard that makes all fiction good. But I'm equal opportunity in my pointing out people's bullshit takes, and I am interested because I want to hear Larry be mad. I never
Mhm.
hear Larry be mad. Larry, are you ready for a hot take of absolute stupidity?
Sure.
Ahem. I gave up on the actor needing to look like the book character when Tom Cruise actually did a decent job as Jack Reacher. In the books, Jack Reacher is a hulking 6'5" brute who's ruggedly ugly, i.e., just about the polar opposite from Tom Cruise. So I went into the movies expecting to loathe them. But man alive, Tom Cruise delivered. I suppose one could argue that Tom Cruise wasn't Jack Reacher, just a cool character using the same plot. Alan Richardson is big, like Reacher, but not ugly enough. Enjoyed his tour at it, too.
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, I
actually,
was under the impression that Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher was like the worst form of Jack Reacher.
I mean, when you're dealing with adaptions, there's the gold standard with the stars. That's Peter Jackson,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of things at the bottom, including, hey, this whole thing about like a post-apocalyptic society and politics and conflict. What if we just make it about the cars? That's the other end of the spectrum. So Cruz's Reacher came at a time when Reacher wasn't quite big enough in the popular culture to get a more direct and authentic adaptation. And that's fine. It's similar, ironically, to Cruise being cast as Lestat. Tom Cruise was able to pull that off because he was a good actor. And while I would say, after educating myself on Jack Reacher, that wasn't really Jack Reacher the character, but it's kind of, sort of, if you squint at it. So I mean, I largely can get on board with that. But I mean, that's not as good as Jack Reacher is big, and he solves all problems by being big.
Right. It would help if Tom Cruise was not secretly a short guy desperately trying to pretend that he's taller.
In fact, that's one of the popular jokes in Hollywood of everybody has a different real height for Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is the Napoleon of Hollywood. Oddly enough, as I scroll by it, we're gonna bounce back on a previous subject, but not deeply. Just a minute. Robert Meyer Burnett is really insistent on comparing Predator Badlands to Raiders of the Lost Ark. He said it again, right? Says both Raiders of the Lost Ark and Predator's Badlands tap into the rich vein of pulp era adventure storytelling, blending high stakes quests, exotic perils, and heroic archetypes in a way that evoke classic B movies and serialized thrills.
Well,
what
hold on.
Pulp traits? Because I do not see them in Badlands.
Well, hold up. So first of all, because of the digital effects, you're not getting the sort of pulp challenges for the pulp protagonist versus the creature. It's makeup with some CGI enhancement versus a bunch of CGI nonsense.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. It's
right.
not the visceral, stabbity goo coming out sort of thing that you need to make it more of a pulp visceral experience. Second, hey, I need to kill the monster man. Okay, well, I'm going to find this annoying robot. She's going to help me do a thing, which will help me do another thing, which will help me do another thing. Then I'll help her, and then she'll help me get to the monster man. Oh no, she's been captured. Now I realize that the real monster man is inside me all along, and I'm good enough to beat, the bad guy and save my friend. And thus
Well-
I've learned that the whole cultural view on strength is bullshit. No,
Well-
it's not a pulp story. It's not a pulp story.
Not only is that not a pulp story, but here's the thing: you were talking about the pulp challenges, okay?
Mhm.
And I was sitting here thinking on it, and I can give an exact example of how this is wrong and why Predator is not the tool for a pulp story.
Well, I mean, the
Okay.
original Predator was a pulp story.
It was, but here's the thing: you're gonna do a story from the perspective of the Predator. I don't think that's a problem. Okay.
I do.
No, I think it can be done. They didn't do it right, but it can be done. And you say it's going to be a pulp story. Okay. So let's compare Predator Badlands, of all things, to an episode of The Mandalorian. Okay?
Mhm.
The Mando has to get into the Imperial base. He's got to take Comedian Man with him because Comedian Man used to be an Imperial. Right? And they're in the truck. Okay?
Mhm.
And they're
Mhm.
driving into the base. And
Mhm.
the raiders decide to attack the truck. So the Mando's got to get out onto the truck and he's got to fight the raiders 1v1, bro. Right? This is a visual, albeit not one-to-one, comparison to Indiana Jones on the truck fighting the Nazis.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
From Raiders of the Lost Ark, direct comparison. Right? You get on the truck, you fight the guys, you crawl around the truck, you get into the front of the truck, you fight the guy there. Right? You
But
end
here,
up on the hood. Okay. In the first, how could you do that with the Predator and the Predator actually be challenged in a meaningful way that doesn't feel like he's fighting trash mobs? Right? Secondly, why is he on the truck? Why isn't he just sneaking in? Right? And
Mhm.
thirdly, and this is the important bit, how do you make it feel visceral in a pulp way, so that we want to see his victory and be enthused by it. Because Indiana Jones, same with the Mando, although different. They start very much like a Jackie Chan show or bit. They start at a disadvantage and they work their way up, right? And by the time that they get to the end, you feel, yeah, they did it, yeah, right? If I was going to do this situation, you have the Predator on the truck imprisoned, right? You have him get loose, and now he's going to fight all these robo guards as he's being brought into the base on the way, right? And he escapes at the last minute. This is superficially similar to what's in the movie when he's on the delivery flyer and they've got him in the lab and shit, right? But whether it's by the intervention of the android or the abstraction, because they don't want to be too violent for audiences, you never get the tension and the visceralness of he's fighting to be free and we want him to get free, right? It all happens almost fucking off camera, and then he just jumps out the back window. It's not pulp. It's not pulpy. It doesn't lean into its pulp ruminations it wants you to think.
No.
Pulp is a dodge.
Now, here's the real thing.
Right.
Who is the protagonist of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Indiana Jones.
No.
Okay, tell me who's the protagonist of Indiana Jones.
God.
Okay.
That is expressly the way Spielberg directed and set it up.
Fuck you, Spielberg.
No. Indiana Jones.
I'm not gonna cut Spielberg some slack here. I don't care if that's actually how he wrote it, because I remember many years later he did a little movie with Tom Cruise called Minority Report.
He did.
Okay. And in Minority Report, there are 3 psychics, and he's going to steal one. And it's like, okay, which one does he take? They're all psychic. They're all roughly equivalent, right? It's like, oh, he takes the woman. Well, why does he take the female? Oh, because women have always been just more intuitive and knowledgeable, right? And it's like, no, Steven, you had him take the girl because the girl's an innocent, and in the language of film, you have the hero save the girl. That's why you did it. Don't fucking lie to me and be like, God is the real hero of the of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, I said protagonist.
Protagonist.
Because Indiana Jones does not take actions that push the story forward.
Except for all the times he takes actions that push the story forward.
I mean, that sounds like a good topic for another show where we could break this down.
Okay.
Because I mean, we got like less than 3 minutes.
Right.
That's an advanced filmic argument. But I would also contend that this movie didn't really have a protagonist. It had main characters that just follow the plot escalator.
So here's this about that, and as we wrap up, as we near the end of our time. The problem with any Predator media made by Disney today, okay? Prey, Killer of Killers, Badlands, anything they make in the future. And to a lesser extent, this was the problem that Robert Rodriguez has, but he had the right answer, which was just lean into it and don't ask questions, right? All of these stories have been told better already. And I don't mean better already in the sense of there's already been a story about brothers and angry fathers. I mean the Dark Horse Comics run of Predator, right? The various Predator video games under different companies already told these stories with more authenticity and more strength than Disney can bring to bear. They own the property, but they do not love the property, and it fucking shows. Because if you had said, as you and I were talking the other night, if it had started with a hunting party and Weyland-Yutani got a bunch of their shit and captured a bunch of them, and the runt had to save the hunters and reclaim the equipment, and it was all about, I'm going to do as much hyper violence, John Wick style, as I have to do to get the gear. That's a Predator story. right?
Yeah. Well,
The-
we had a good show, so I would say we pull this out. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Come back next week for advanced cinema identification.
Yeah. We'll be